Guys, so for today's video I am going to be doing my nails, and I'm going to be doing that like trendy stripe nail oh my gosh, the trendy striped nail design that's kind of going around right now. But to start off, I am actually going to start this video by showing you how I apply my builder gel and how I use this to like build up the nail. So I always use the LGN hard gels. I usually use clear, like you've seen in pretty much all of my past videos where I've been doing my nails. I like to do clear. I don't know, I just feel like because most of the time whenever I do my nails, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing, and if I want to do like a transparent nail or like a jelly type of nail, then it's already clear. And you know, if you do an opaque base like I'm doing in this video, you can't really do the jelly. I mean, you can put jelly on top of it, you're just not gonna have that like see-through kind of jelly clear look. So that's why I typically usually always do clear, because I just don't know what I'm doing usually. But for this set, I did know that I was going to do this stripe design. So I decided, so I don't have to paint the base with a nude color, I was just going to use this color from LGN. It's called Flower Child, and as you saw in the beginning on the sticker, it did say free gift. I had ordered some more base coat, top coat, and I think I got a new brush from her too. I don't know if she's still including the free gifts, because on her YouTube she said she got a batch of this color called Flower Child, and it wasn't quite right. She said usually there is like this blue shimmery shift in this color that I was showing a little bit at the beginning. But she said usually it's a lot more, and in this batch that her I was gonna say, I can't think of like what the correct word is, but like where she gets her gels made and all of that, like there wasn't enough blue shimmer added to this batch, and she wasn't happy with it, and she didn't want to put that up to be bought by people and it like not be up to her standards. So she's just including it in with some orders until they all run out. So that's how I ended up with this, and it's a super pretty color. On camera I feel like it looks a lot more orange, but in person it is more pinky. It is kind of orange, just like a pinky orange color with like this really pretty blue shimmer in it. But yeah, on camera it looks way more orange, at least when I'm filming this part. My finishing shots always look more real to what they look like in person, but here under like all the filming, the lights and everything, colors tend to look a little off, so it does look a little more orange. But it is a super pretty color, and I love the like little blue shimmer in it. I am curious to how it looks like in the normal batch she gets or she sells, where she says there's more of that shimmer in it. So I think next time I order stuff from her, I am going to buy this so I can see like the comparison between the two. But anyhow, so I started out by applying the LGN rubber base coat to my entire nail. I put it on my natural nail, and I put it all the way down the nail tip as well. And for the nail tips, I do chemically etch them with my primer. That way there's not a whole bunch of dust that I have to try and clean off and make sure isn't getting mixed into, you know, my product or whatever. So I do chemically etch the nails, then I put the base coat on, cure that for 60 seconds, and now I'm going in with the hard gel, and I use a size 6 brush. This is from LGN, it's the 6 oval brush. She also has a size 4. It's a little bit smaller. I like a bigger brush, especially since I'm doing such long nails. So I put down a very thin layer of this color first. This is the slip layer to help the rest of the gel kind of flow a little better, and you can move it across the nail a lot easier. I do not cure that slip layer, and then I go in with a larger glob of the gel and float that right on top of that slip layer and moving it around to get it the way that I want. I will sometimes flip my hand upside down to let gravity do its thing and kind of help with like the apex situation. Also sometimes, like I'm doing right here, if the apex isn't as big or as tall as I want it to be, then I will go in with a little bit more of the gel and place it right there to really get that apex the way that I need it to be for this length of nail, to make sure that the nails don't just snap in half. That is the reason why we do an apex, is because it makes sure that the nail is structurally sound and it's not just going to snap in half. And then I will cure it for 30 seconds before moving on to the next nail, doing the same thing, applying my slip layer and then going in with a larger glob of that gel and just floating it on top. And what I mean by floating is right here, you can see I'm putting a lot of pressure on the brush to spread the gel all the way down the nail. But then when I grab this bigger glob of this gel and I'm putting it on the nail, you don't see the brush bending like that, because I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure. I'm like not even putting hardly any pressure on this. That's what it means to float the gel or the polish on the nail. It's where you barely even have the brush touching the nail. So when you hear someone saying they float the polish or the gel or whatever they're using down the nail, that's what they mean. They're not putting a whole lot of pressure like I was on that initial, or when I was applying the, the slip layer. So yeah, I just do this across all the nails, and then like I said, I'll cure them for about 30 seconds just to lock everything in place so it's not flowing all over the place and flooding my cuticles and all that jazz. And then once I get all 5 of the nails done, I will stick my hand in the lamp for a full 60 seconds to make sure that everything is cured. I did only show those 2 nails, and then I did do all of my filing off camera. One of these days I will do a full in-depth tutorial of application and filing and all my prep and all of that. I do have videos like that on my channel if you want to watch those, but they are a little old and outdated, and I do things a little bit differently. For the most part, I do all the same stuff, but there are some things that I do a little bit differently. But you can kind of get an idea if you watch those on what I do. But I do want to do updated videos on those, which I will get to at some point. So anyhow, after my nails are all filed and buffed and everything, I am prepping for the nail art. So I'm using this blue, I forgot what color this was. I think it's Game Over from Nails by Dev. I don't know. I did show it on screen earlier, so you'll know what it is. I'll also have it linked down below, but I missed it popping up there on the screen, and I forgot what color I used. But anyhow, this blue, I wanted to do blue nails because that's just my favorite color. So I put a glob of that down on my palette, and then, well, I put 2 globs of it down on my palette, and then for the second one, I am mixing some white into it. It's the white by Ballpit that I'm mixing into it to lighten it up, because I wanted like the same I was gonna say same shade, but it's not the same shade. The same like blue color, you know, with like the same undertones and everything, just a dark blue and a light blue. But I didn't have 2 different polishes that match that, like a dark blue polish and a light blue polish, so I did just kind of have to mix my own. And technically speaking, you're not supposed to mix 2 different brands together like that, but because they could have like different chemical makeups, and like the curing is different and whatever, and it could affect you know, how they cure and all of that. But you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, and I have not have any troubles mixing different brands together. But that doesn't mean that you won't have any trouble. So, you know, if you're gonna mix it, just know you could potentially end up running into problems with like curing and stuff not curing properly. So just kind of be mindful and careful of that, and aware of, you know, the consequences that could come from mixing 2 different brands like that. So got those mixed up. Now I'm using, I think this is the beginner baddie brush. Again, I showed it on the camera, but I'm pretty sure this is the beginner baddie brush from Ballpit. It is a double-ended liner brush. One end has the liner brush, and then the other end is like a cleanup slash blender brush. So like you can use it as a cleanup brush, or you can use it to like blend colors together, like if you're doing portraits and like character art and stuff like that. So I'm using this because it is a 15mm liner brush, and the longer the brush, the better your lines are going to be. Although I will say that my lines were not that great on this set. They are a little wobbly and shaky. I also wasn't really trying too hard. Like, I was going through this set really quick. Usually when I do my nails, I will take them off one day, and then the next day I will like sculpt them out with the builder gel, and then the next day I will do the nail art. But this day I did it all in one go, all in one day. It took me, because I was doing both hands, and whenever I use my left hand to do my right hand, because I am right-handed, it does take a little longer, and it's a lot more difficult, and I'm slower. It does take me quite a while to do my own nails. So I think the set, from taking off the nails all the way to top coating the finished design, I think took me probably about 4 hours or so, which honestly isn't that bad. And if it takes you that long or even longer, it's fine. You don't have to be those people, those nail techs that, you know, do a whole set like this in an hour. Like, it's fine, especially when you're doing your own self and you're having to use your non-dominant hand for half of the set. Like, it's definitely going to take you quite a bit longer. So just take your time. It's fine. You don't need to be the fastest person in the world, especially if you're doing your own nails. Like, you can take as much time as you want to get them done. You know, it's not like you're on a time crunch, you're doing other people's nails, and like, you know, you kind of have to be a little bit fast, but not like super fast. You know what I mean? So just take your time. It's okay. You don't, you know, it's not a race. Just take your time. Enjoy what you're doing. It's fine. It's fine. So anyhow, going through, I do wipe that nail off because the lines were really bad. They were super crooked. Um, so yeah, just going through doing all the lines, and I went in with this light color first, and when I mixed it up, I did not mix anywhere near enough to what I needed for this set. Sorry. I always say to mix more than what you think you're going to need. That way you don't have to try and mix that color again and match it up, because it's a little difficult to get the same exact color twice, especially because you don't really have the ratios. You're not like measuring it out or anything to know like how much of each color you did. So I always say to mix more than what you think you're gonna need. However, for this, I did not. I wasn't taking my own advice. And it's not that I did it on purpose. I just didn't realize that I was going to end up having to do 2 coats of all of these colors. Honestly, if I were to do this again, I wouldn't mix up the colors mix up the colors that I'm wanting to use, because what I should have done was take a light blue color and painted the entire nail with that, and then go over top with the dark blue color, because doing this, there's kind of a little bit of a disconnect between the stripes. They don't look like they are connected very well. Like if you look super close at them, if you look at them from a distance, it looks fine. Also, even if you don't really know what you're looking at, like someone else looking at them isn't going to see the same thing that I see, because I'm the one doing these, so they don't know like what I have in my mind and like how I wanted these to look in my mind. But yeah, doing it this way, it kind of left a little bit of a disconnect between the light blue stripes and the dark blue stripes, because I was trying to like overlap a little bit to make sure it did look connected, but it didn't work out very well. I feel like I'm not making very much sense trying to explain this, but yeah, I would recommend putting your light color down and just painting the entire nail, or like, because for this set I am doing that like straight across French tip kind of look for this set. So that's why this first stripe is down like past the free edge of the nail, you know, or where my natural nail would be, because I'm doing that straight across French tip that's super trendy right now, especially with like these striped nails. And I just lost my train of thought and what I was even saying. Something about the disc. Oh yeah, I would paint the light color first, cover the entire nail, or if you're doing like the French tip type of thing, put that down as your base, and then go over top of that with the darker color and do the stripes on top of there, instead of doing how I did it. But like I always say, I like to make things more difficult. Why? I don't know. I don't even intend to do things difficultly, but difficult, I don't even know if that's a word. Anyhow, I don't intend to make things more difficult for myself, but I do. And then as I'm doing it, or after I do it, I'm like, there was probably like 3 easier ways to do this. And that's when I will say here in like my voiceovers, I'll be like, you know, if I were to do this again, this is how I would do it, and I feel like it would be a little more difficult. That way you guys can, you know, learn from my mistakes. And I mean, it's not really a mistake, but, you know, just to make things a little bit easier for you guys. So yeah, just went through, did all the stripes, and I was eyeballing these to try and make them like even across all of the nails, which I think I did a pretty good job, especially when you see at the end when I like hold my hand in that like closed fist type of position. You can kind of see the lines are pretty evenly spaced and like line up pretty well, so I'm pretty proud of myself for that. But anyhow, yeah, going through doing the stripes, how many times can I say that? And I was not curing in between the nails. Like I said, I was trying to get through this pretty quickly. This was a fairly simple design. I mean, doing straight lines on nails can be a little more difficult, but compared to some of the other designs that I have done, this one was pretty simple and easy for me. So I was just trying to go through and do this as quickly as I could. So the pinky and the ring nails are still wet as I'm doing the middle nail. The middle nail, those 3 nails are still wet as I do the pointer nail, and then all 4 of those nails are still wet when I do the thumbnail. I didn't flash cure anything. I didn't cure in between. I was just going. If you are not comfortable with that, then it's okay to flash cure in between. I just was confident enough to feel like I could go through and do all 5 of the nails with these stripes and not need to flash cure in between. After I got all of these light blue stripes on, I did go ahead and cure for the full 60 seconds. And then I think I did switch over and do my right hand off camera before I came back and did the dark stripes on camera. And when I did my right hand, I realized I needed to do a second coat for these colors, because when I held my hand up, I could see through them and like see the light through them. Not like see through them like they were translucent, transparent or whatever, but see through them like if you hold them up to a light, you can kind of see they're a little splotchy. I mean, if you hold them down and like not in the light, they look fine, and you really wouldn't think you would need a second coat. But yeah, holding it up to where the light is like shining behind the nail, you can see that it's fully covered, and it's not like fully opaque in some spots. So I did decide to do a second coat on all of these stripes, and I did all that off camera because this video is already kind of on the longer side. I didn't need it to take any longer. Also, you're already seeing me do these stripes. You don't need to see me do a second coat over them. So yeah, I did end up doing it 2 coats of both of the blues, just because, like I said, they were a little splotchy whenever I did hold my hand up to the light. And then that was when I needed to mix up a second batch of this light blue, which I'm thankful that I didn't need to mix up the second coat, or mix up any more of this light blue until I did a second coat. Because imagine if I had to mix up more of this blue when I did 5 nails, and then the other 5 nails were the second batch of that light blue. I could match it up pretty closely, but I definitely didn't match it up exact. And if you were to put the 2, like if it was on 2 separate nails and you were to put them right next to each other, you would be able to tell the difference in them and see that one is a little bit lighter and one's a little bit darker. So thankfully, like I said, I had to mix it up when I did the second coat. So I made sure to mix up a whole bunch, way more than I thought I would need, so then that way I could cover everything up and it would all just end up being the same color because it was that second coat If that makes sense. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully how I'm explaining everything makes sense. This video is sped up quite a bit, so it's like going really fast, and I'm trying to like explain everything, and also like explaining what's happening on the screen currently instead of being like behind a little bit. But anyhow, so this video was supposed to go up last Saturday, but I was a wee bit sick, and I didn't have any. I had this filmed, but I hadn't edited it at all, and then I was feeling better by Saturday, and I could have edited it could have edited it and have gotten it up on Saturday, but I just was like, whatever, I'll just upload it next week and just skip last Saturday's video. So that's why there was no video last week. I'm feeling much better now, and everything is gonna be on track until, you know, something happens and I can't make an upload on time. Also, I am back to only uploading on Saturdays. That's how I started my channel, was only uploading on Saturdays, and then I got comfortable with doing that. I was like, I can easily do 2 videos a week, so I started doing Wednesday and Saturday. But then here recently, like within like the last few months, starting like towards the end of the year last year, I was having a little bit of trouble filming and editing and everything to be able to have 2 video uploads a week. So I decided to take a step back and go back to only uploading once a week. Eventually, hopefully, maybe, we'll see, I'll get back to doing 2 videos a week, but I don't know. For right now, we're only gonna do 1. We're gonna see how this goes, because I have so many ideas for nail art and everything that I want to like do. That's why I was really happy about doing 2 a week, because then I could get like 8 videos up a month, whereas with 1 a week I'm only doing 4 videos a month. And like, I don't know, I just have so many ideas and I want to put them all out there and like share them all and everything. But yeah, just with everything going on in like my personal life and like timing and everything, I just couldn't handle doing the 2 uploads a week anymore. So that's why I'm back down to 1 a week. Also, you're probably noticing like I am kind of experimenting and like testing things out. I'm testing like different thumbnails, which so far I personally haven't really liked most of the thumbnails that I've done differently. I kind of do my thumbnails the same, and I have been kind of doing them the same like this whole time that I've been doing this channel. But I just want to test things out, see how they go. You know, numbers wise, like my numbers aren't the best. They're not the worst either. Also, I don't really pay too much attention to the numbers, but I have noticed recently there has been like this steady decline with the numbers, and I'm like, maybe I need to step out and do some different stuff, because like I said, I've basically been doing the same things and like the same setup and everything since the very beginning. I really haven't done much of anything different because it worked in the beginning. And I don't know, I think maybe I need to switch it up a little bit, because I think maybe, you know, people are getting bored a little bit with what's going on, because like I said, I'm basically doing the same thing over and over again, and I get that can be boring, especially because I've been doing all this for like 3 years now. I think this October will be 4 years. So I think maybe it is a little bit time to switch things up a little bit. So testing things out, seeing how that goes. Some videos I'm doing voiceovers on. Some videos I am like talking as I'm doing it. Which has been a little bit of a challenge for me because I cannot talk and work at the same time, and I'm trying to have to figure that out. And then also with editing, it takes me a little bit longer to edit those ones versus like this one where I'm doing a voiceover, because I have to like sit there and listen to the video and like figure out where I stop talking and like where I need to silence the video, because I'll have like another video playing in the background, or I'll have music playing in the background, and it's just a little bit more to edit whenever I'm actually talking while doing the nails versus when I'm just doing voiceovers. So it's been a little bit of a challenge for me to, try and figure out the direction that I need to go and what I need to do. And also hold on real quick. I am just adding on some little charms. I decided to stick with silver charms. I like silver over gold, so most of the time I do silver charms. So I'm using some of those little silver pearl bead things. I have a couple skull charms there, some little safety pin charms, and some little snake charms. And then I'm using the Nail Couture Gummy Jelly Rhinestone Glue and just placing those charms down however I felt like and however I felt like would look good. This was a little challenging for me because I did not add as many charms as like I was wanting to. I was kind of scaling it back and like trying to do the less is more approach, which is really difficult for me because, as you know, I tend to go extreme whenever I'm doing my own nails. But I actually really like how they ended up coming out and looking with like not a whole lot going on. I mean, there's kind of a lot going on because we have the stripes and then the charms and stuff, but it's not like super crazy chaotic extra-ness going on, like how I will typically do. I tend to go over the top with my nails, and this one I felt like I really held myself back when I was doing all of this. And I am doing this differently than how I usually do. Usually I'll put the rhinestone glue down and then put the top coat right on top. But because all of these charms have like that coating on it and I didn't want them to tarnish, I decided to wait to top coat until the very end after I got them all on. So I'm just doing the rhinestone glue, and then I put the charms down, and then I will flash cure them just so they stay in place. And then once I get all the little charms and stuff on all of the nails, I will go in and cure for a full 60 seconds before going in with my top coat. Also, with the little safety pin charms, the little crosses on them are kind of dangly and they like move around and whatever, and I wanted them to move around on the nail, but then when I put the glue down and then I put the charms on, the glue kind of cemented where the cross and the safety pin are connected, so the cross wasn't moving anymore, and I wasn't gonna take it off and like try and fix it or anything, so I just left it. And low-key, I'm a little bit glad that happened, because I think it would have ended up annoying me that little cross was like dangling around and like rattling around as I moved my hands. So that was, who was it? Was it Bob Ross? I think Bob Ross used to say happy little accidents. That's a happy little accident right there. But yeah, the little cross does move if you want it to like move or whatever. Just be mindful of like where the glue is and whatever. That way it's not, holding down. But if you don't want it to move, then, you know, go ahead and glue the whole thing down. Also, you can see me taking a brush and kind of smoothing out the rhinestone glue, because on the ring nail there, you can kind of see the glue oozed out, and I didn't flatten it down at all, and I actually really kind of hate that, because you can still see it after it being top coated, and I don't like how that looks. So afterwards I was like, okay, I need to make sure that I am smoothing any rhinestone glue that oozed out from underneath of these charms down, so that way you can't see it once it's top coated. I was saying something about like filming and switching things up, and I was gonna say something else, and now I can't remember. Oh, one of you commented on one of my videos, which I have not responded to yet. I need to. I read it the other day, and then I was going to respond, but then I had to do something else. You commented about how you're liking what I'm doing, because it's like different than what you've usually seen, and that makes me so happy, because like that's kind of my, like, what I want to do. I want to do stuff that's different and not like just all the trendy stuff. I usually don't like the trends that are going on anyways. Every now and then I do like the trends, like the stripe nail trend. I do really like that. I think it's really fun. But yeah, I personally don't always like the trends, and I do like to try and do different stuff than what you usually see. Like, I've been experimenting a lot with like different textures and stuff, as you saw with my last few videos, like different textures and like layering the different chrome powders and everything. Like, it's been really fun to see like what works, what doesn't work, and how you can like make these things work and make like see how they translate onto nails and whatever. And you know, just learn and try out new different stuff. So I'm really happy that, you know, at least one person is enjoying, you know, the experimentation that I've been doing. So yeah, I'm gonna try and keep up with that and like try new stuff and experiment. And yeah, so anyhow, right here I'm just taking my LGN shiny top coat, applying this to the entire nails, and like I said, all of these charms and stuff, they're like not metal or anything. Well, the skull might be metal, but it also doesn't feel like metal. I think they're mostly like plastic and resin or whatever, and they have like that silver coating on it. If you've ever used these silver pearl beads, then you know that coating can come off. So I'm just sealing everything in with a nice thick layer of top coat to hopefully make sure that nothing tarnishes, which, spoiler alert, some of the silver coating on these little pearl bead things has come off, but these nails have been on for couple weeks now. But I thought I did a lot better job at top coating them, but I don't know, maybe I didn't. So yeah, apply the top coat, and then I cure that for a full 60 seconds. And I will say I am going pretty heavy handed on the top coat, because I wanted to make sure that none of this stuff was going to, you know, the silver coating wasn't going to come off. But like I said, it has on some of the little silver beads or whatever. But like the skull, the safety pin, and the snake, they all still look really good. And most of the pearls or the silver beads are fine. There are a few that it has come off, so maybe I just didn't top coat those ones very well. But anyhow, this is the finished result. They do kind of look a wee bit lumpy and bumpy, but like if I feel them, they're not. I think it is because I did like the way I did the stripes, instead of like having the light blue be all the way down and smooth out the entire surface, and then like do the blue stripes on top. I think that's why, because like I said, there is that little bit of a disconnect, and then I had to do the second coat on all of them. I don't know. So they do look a little lumpy, especially when you see like the light shining off of the top coat. That does kind of bother me a little bit, but also, what am I gonna do now? Oh, also I added a glitter top coat underneath. I always top coat the underneaths of my nails. Sometimes, most of the time I just do a regular. What am I doing there? I think I was trying to show you the nail, but I showed you my knuckles instead. Anyhow, usually I just do a clear, regular top coat. Sometimes, like this time, I do a glitter top coat just to add a little fun to the nails. But overall, I am super happy with how this set came out. If I were to see here at the end, you can see it is more pink. And this is what it looks like in person more than the other shots. But I am super happy with this set. There are a few things that I would do a little bit differently. But overall, I am really happy with this set. I love how it came out. It's like this edgy kind of nail design with like the charms and stuff, but I don't know, it's super fun, and I think it's a fun set for like spring and summer. I mean, you can do it for any season, but I think it is a fun like transition set from like winter to like spring or whatever. And like I said, you could make this be any type of vibe you want with like the colors you choose and like the charms that you choose. I don't know, I just feel like this is a very versatile design that you can change up the vibes depending on the colors you do and like the charms you use. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.